First of all, I'd like to wish all of you a happy 30th anniversary. And although I understand a number of you, or not all of you, are graduating, probably some of you who take your masters here may still see the new campus. I also wish you good luck in the new campus that you are going to be occupying in the next 2 to 3 years. First of all, before I start showing you all the data that are of great importance to people in marketing, I'm sure you know that in marketing, you just cannot stop at words. You have to talk about market segments, income classifications, and so on and so forth. However, let's make sure that we're talking the same language and you understand the phrases that I will be using frequently. Especially we economists, we like to coin sophisticated words, BRIC, now VIP, and it's important if we're going to be communicating to one another that we agree on some working definitions of the words or phrases that we will use. And so the first important phrase I want to define is what already has been mentioned by your professor, emerging market. So why is that now the buzzword? Why is everyone talking about the emerging market? And in fact, another economist has coined a new phrase. These countries that are called emerging markets are referred to as constituting the nest of eagles. So here, another metaphor. But I think it's very appropriate that in China, we use metaphors. Because the Chinese are always very graphic in their presentation of ideas. Now, what are eagles? Just for you to remember, eagles are emerging and growth-leading economies. So, emerging and growth-leading economies. If you spell the first words, that would spell out eagles. Now, why are eagles going to be very, very important in the next 20 years? When you are going to be very much exercising your respective careers and professions. I'm sure all of you will be very active in the next 20 years. In business, somewhere in this part of the world that is now considered the epicenter of global marketing. As I'm sure you've read constantly in the last few months, last few years, the world is shifting away from US, Europe, and Japan. Just pause a little for us to really sympathize with the Japanese. For those of us who believe in prayer, to pray for the Japanese. And all the excitement that used to exist in these advanced economies over the last 20, 30 years will now be shifting to Asia. It's a very important lesson for you. If you are contributing to the establishment of a just society in Macau, always tell your leaders, look at Germany as a model, not the United States. And the key phrase here is social market economy. That has absolutely nothing to do with socialism. That has absolutely nothing to do with communism. Okay, any other question? Yes, please.
What's unique about the cooperation of the Chinese?
Louder, please. I can hear. What?
What is unique about the cooperation of the prospect of the Chinese?
What is unique about the population of the tiger economies? Very small. And that is why, for example, the Singaporeans, they're looking for investment opportunities all over the world because they cannot sell to the Singaporeans. There are very few. So they don't make money by selling to the Singaporeans. They make money by going to Indonesia, to the Philippines, to China, to Latin America, because Singapore does not have the population. So today, the biggest handicap of industrialized countries is either their population is too small, like Singapore. In fact, let me just add here an advice to you. Singapore is so interested in building its population by adding 1.5 million more people in the next 20 years. And they are offering unbelievable scholarships to the brightest minds in Asia. So if any one of you want, for example, to take your master's, you can get, and you have, of course, good grades, you can get any scholarship that you want at NUS, at Nanyang, at the best universities, because Singapore is trying to attract 1.5 million more people in the next 20 years who are going to be good engineers, good physicists, good biologists, good businessmen. And that's the problem of Singapore. Singapore made a terrible mistake by implementing step-at-2 birth control in the 1960s and 70s. Now, Lee Kuan Yew has publicly admitted it was a terrible mistake that we introduced population control. Today, we are disappearing from this planet. Because he's now trying to ask Singaporean women to have children. No one responds. Because the very educated Singaporean women, to be pregnant is to have a disease. That's unfortunate. And so Singapore will disappear from this planet if foreigners do not come to Singapore. So that is the #1 challenge right now to very rich countries. And the same thing is happening in Europe. I lived for 2 years recently in Spain. The Spaniards are disappearing from this planet. No more babies. Unfortunately, the Spanish government is very open to foreign immigrants. There are 5 million foreigners working in Spain. The biggest problem of Japan is not the nuclear crisis, it's not the tsunami, it's not the earthquake. The biggest long-term problem of Japan is the very low fertility rate, accompanied by the reluctance of the Japanese to open their country to foreign workers. Japan is so paranoid about foreigners. They want to retain the purity of the Japanese race, so they don't want to accept foreign workers. But if they have no babies, no foreign workers, the best formula for long-term economic stagnation. And that is why Japan is an economy that will stagnate indefinitely into the future, unless they resolve what is known as the demographic winter. So I'm sure you have heard of the demographic winter. Demographic winter is now the problem of practically every developed economy with exception of the United States. That's one thing at least I can praise the United States. The United States is not suffering from demographic winter because the US is so open to millions and millions of foreigners from abroad. Sometimes reluctantly, when the Mexicans swim across the river from Mexico to Texas, sometimes that is involuntary openness. But they are also very open. They give visas more freely to workers from abroad. And I'm sure, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have an intention of going to the United States sometime in your future life to look for your opportunities there.